What's up, Game Nation? T-Chan here, and welcome to episode 9 of Game Dev Loadout, where I chat with today's most experienced game developers 7 days a week. We will learn about their backgrounds, the obstacles they had to overcome, and the tools they use to be effective. And today's featured guest is Joseph Longoria. Joseph, it is go time. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Awesome. Joseph has been in the game industry for more than 3 years. He is the founder and lead developer for Gnob Software, and he self-published Molly Maggot and Demonic Karma Summoner for the Wii U. Go ahead, Joseph, and give us a bit about your personal life and how you got started in the game industry.
So he was saying I started Gnob Software about 3 years ago. Originally, before that, I did the little comic books, little pamphlet zines looking things that I did a bunch of fan art and I had my own comic book going for a while. And then, like I said, about 3 years ago, I started actually making games and realized it's something I can do. I've always drawn little sprites and animation kind of things. I never really put fully together and actually do something about it until about 3 years ago. And my first game was a knock on a Pokemon, but it was a 2D game. And it was Psyduck Saga, and I made it, and it took a whole year, and it was crazy, and I learned so much from it to actually putting it together. And then the next one, I actually went out and made Molly Maggot, which was my own, I guess, what is it? OC? Is that what it's original characters?
Yeah.
And then put that, OC. So yeah, that was mine, and then after that, I used that to make Demonic Karma Summoner, and then still going on today.
So what made you want to get into the game industry?
Well, I mean, I've always, when I was a little fat kid playing Super Nintendo before church, I wanted to work for Nintendo so bad, and I had my Game Boy, and that was my escape. I love playing video games, and like I said, for the longest, I wanted to work for actually work on a Nintendo game or make a Super Mario or something like that. And then I think in high school or the end of middle school, I did research into it, and I realized that that's when the internet was starting to come up, and I actually looked into it, and I was Nintendo doesn't hire people from the US. The only thing you could really get is someone who does translations and stuff like that. And English is my worst. I was in special ed for English. So I was man, this is never going to happen. And I kind of was bummed out for a while, and I didn't really pursue it after high school. I still did art, and I still did 3D animations and stuff like that because it was just fun, and I had little sprite stuff like that. And then I guess maybe after I graduated and got a job, I realized that, I want to be making stuff. I don't want to just sit around and have these drawings sit in my room all the time. So then I started doing the comic books, and I was giving out comic books for the longest. And then it slowly went to be hey, there's schools to make games and everything. And I was hey, let's go try that out. And then I got into school, and then that's when the indie thing was starting to show up. There was Meatball came out, was really popular. And I was okay, this is something that I can do. And I realized because a lot of things when I did research to find schools, it was don't do it in Texas because, you're going to end up moving anyway.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't want to do that. So I really pursued the indie thing, and that's kind of where it went. And then I found Nintendo was yeah, we're looking for independent developers. You just have to reach out. And I was hell yeah. And so I was already by the time Nintendo started to do their indie program, I was already making little games and prototypes and stuff. So then I think it was just a calling to man, I'm going to publish.
Bro, that's awesome because you basically, I guess, got your dream. You finally got to work for Nintendo. I got to do something with Nintendo. So that's awesome.
Yeah, technically I have a game on the Nintendo system. So I mean, it's not a Mario game, and they had no say in it, but I got to work with them, and I get my checks from them. So it's really cool.
So what would you consider your main area of expertise?
I'm an artist. I consider myself an artist. I paint, I draw. That's where the fun's at. But since I'm indie, I have to be everything. I have to be a programmer. I have to be a marketer. I have to be everything. It just, if I had to choose, and if I was behind, I guess, if I was behind somebody else, I would pursue art. I wouldn't pursue programming or any of that other stuff, even though, I can do it, and I'm getting better and better and better at it. But if I had to call myself anything, it would be an artist.
So it's all by yourself? You don't work with any other talents?
Well, the first two games that I made, so Molly Maggot was purely me. I was just straight up Raw, Joseph Longoria, everything was me. And I ended up having an intern that did game testing. But besides that, that was it. And my little brother, of course, he did game testing too.
How do you balance all that, being all those different types of talent into one? How do you focus on art and then focus on programming and focus on marketing? How do you balance all that out? Or
I'm slowly learning it. Like, of course, like the art and stuff, like I was always good at, and then programming, I was just, I wanted something and then get it done and then go back to the art because I was like, oh, this is more comfortable. And then like marketing, I'm still not good at. And like I said, I'm slowly learning on those other ones. Like I just barely got enough to get by kind of way. But I guess it's like something that has to get done. So it's like, I have to learn this, and freaking YouTube is the greatest. I mean, honestly, there's so much information out there now. You just have to go looking for it. And that's what I was putting it together.
Yeah, Game Nation. Yeah, you got to go out there. There's so much free information online. You just got to put the effort in to go read and to learn. And there's so much YouTube tutorials. So go ahead and check that out. And what would be a big value bomb or principle that you follow when you're making a game?
Just make it. I mean, finish stuff. A lot of people don't finish anything, and a lot of people talk about stuff and they don't do anything about it. And it's like, I'd rather spend more time doing something than sitting around talking about it. And I guess that would be my thing. Like, don't talk, do stuff, and finish stuff.
Yeah, I heard about that too. Like, people just don't ever get started, or they stop halfway. Oh, why do you think people do that?
I don't know. I guess people lose motivation and stuff. And then people, I think, okay, so I can't remember what show or where I heard it from, but it's like, if somebody doesn't accomplish something, it's because they really didn't want to. And that's just straight up. And it's like, if there's people make excuses and stuff like that, but like every human, like there's no reason why like they can't do something unless they really just don't want it bad enough. I mean, like even like stuff that's like really hard and disability, there's people who still make their dreams happen. So it's just, you just have to want it bad enough.
That's so true. All you have to do is just get started and see what happens and go from there. Because if you do nothing, then nothing's ever going to happen. So yeah, you just got to get started. So that leads us to our next moment. What would be your worst moment in your game development? Because, games can be very long and difficult to create. And so what would be your worst moment during game development?
When Molly Maggot came out, like when I started reading the comments and like, cause generally like people didn't like it and they had stuff to complain about or whatever, like it really got me bummed. And I was like, oh, this sucks, And like during making Molly Maggot, I had ended relationships and stuff like that. I got a divorce and all that.
Oh, wow.
Because it was like, I was so happy that my dream came true, But then it was like, I didn't have anybody to share it with. And then the reviews came out. I was like, oh, and then people don't even like it. For like 3 days, I was just bummed out. And then like after that, for some reason, I was like, man, I'm going to go read these comments and like actually sit there and went through it. And I went and I commented on people. And I was like, what didn't you like about the game? And like I did that to everybody that didn't like it. And like some people didn't respond back. And a lot of people like, I don't like bugs. And it's like, dude, I can't help you if you don't like bugs. It's a game about a magnet. Like I can't do anything about that. But then I started to get people that actually like genuinely said what they didn't like. They didn't like the controllers. There was no story. There was no music. And like after you hear like 3 or 4 people say the same thing, it's like, you know what, Joseph, maybe, this next game we need to look at the controllers a little bit better. And like maybe they're not as fluent as we thought they were, because it's kind of rough when you spend like a year working on something, you become fluent at it and it seems natural to you. But when you actually show it to somebody else, and you're not standing there to show them what they want you to do, then it's difficult for them and it's not natural. That's why like these past games that I've made, I've had more of like, it's like standoff demoing, where like you just give somebody the game and you let them play it. And then, if they get stuck somewhere, you maybe help them out a little bit because you're standing there. But if everybody gets stuck at that same spot with the controls, like what the hell is going on, then you need to fix something on that. And I guess that's one of the big things that I've learned from that. But yeah, that was probably like the roughest time. Like when you release stuff, because you have to release stuff, you got to actually sit there and grid through your comments and find out what people didn't like about it, and like actually take that and move it to the next game. And I think that's like one of the the biggest hurdles you have to go through, because like this is something you've worked on for so long, and they just like, people on the internet don't care. Like they will post anything, and you got to actually sit there and ask them and be like, what didn't you like, and get them to actually like form a human response with you. Like this isn't what I like. And then when you find out, when you ask them stuff like that, there's people who said all the stuff they didn't like, and then they threw in something they did like. And like this guy, I asked him what he didn't like about it, and he explained it. He then told me what he liked about it. And I was like, okay. Like he really didn't, after thinking about it and he processed it, what he didn't like, actually, he said what he did like. And I was like, cool, man, And it's just, it takes that human touch with people to break through the internet and be like, what didn't you actually, like, get them to actually feel what they were thinking. And I guess that's really important.
For sure, that's important because I think it comes with the territory. There's always going to be trolls out there or people that just hate on your game, but then you got to focus on that constructive criticism. If people are saying something, there must be something going on, and you got to take a step back and look at your game and, take those feedback and put some positive spin to it. What do you want to make sure Game Nation take away from your worst moment, Joseph?
Like I said, read your comments and learn from them. Move on. Don't let it drag you down. Don't let it stop you from making other games. Just as I think it's Miyamoto said it, like it's only if you're better than your last is what matters. Like don't compare yourself to other people. There's always going to be somebody better. Your game might not be great Call of Duty right now, or whatever. I don't know what people play. Like it may not be like the greatest game ever, but as long as you're better than the last game that you made, then you're good. And that's all you have to compare. You compare yourself to your previous self. I mean, if your game you're making now is worse than the game you made before, then maybe you're not doing it right. You need to be better. Yeah, you need to be trying to improve yourself. So as long as you improve yourself, that's all that matters. And I guess that's what I want people to say.
That's why we're here. We're trying to get that motivation into Game Nation and hopefully give them some tools later on, just to help them give them that start. And that's what people need to do. They just need to get started and work on something.
Release it, like put stuff out there.
Yes, release it. Yeah, finish it. Now, what would be your aha moment that just like clicked in your head? Something that just a big idea or something that just made you go, aha, this works.
When I did Game Maker and I realized all the tutorials and I made the little guy, I remember I showed I showed my mom, I showed my ex-wife, I showed everybody just making the little sprite dude move across with the keys. I was so happy, dude. And that was like my aha, like I can make games. And so I guess, Game Maker was there, but I use Construct 2 now, which is like my bread and butter. And that's the one that I like. But yeah, I think actually getting something to actually work was like my aha, I can actually do this. And it's just every second every day you get something more and you improve on it. You're like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. And that's a cool feature. And you just keep adding on to it.
Yeah, I think that's a great theme for this episode because we're telling people, get started. And once you get that feeling of making something or even like making a small object move on the screen or something, it feels good. Yeah, it feels really, really good. Like when you see your game in action, it feels so good. And like you accomplish something big. And, that just pushes you more and want to make more games. Yeah. So I love something like that. Now, what is like the one thing you are most excited about today in the game industry? Now the Switch is coming out and VR is slowly hitting mainstream. Like what excites you most about the game industry today?
I like that it was getting easier for indies to come out and more people are actually doing it. And so you actually get to see people. We're not going to see like 20 Call of Duties. We get actual inspiration from people, and just because it's a little bit easier. So then it's kind of going to be, I guess kind of what worries is it's going to get overwhelming, kind of like how Steam is now, where it's like it's just too many games that are out there. But I don't know, anything where people are creating, I guess that's amazing. So I mean, I'm pretty excited for that, and I guess that would be the main thing is you're going to see a lot more content from just. It's not going to be the same game over and over again like the previous couple of years. Like you have all these new indie stuff that's coming, and it's gonna be amazing to see what people create with the new technology.
Yeah, I think indie games is on a boom. Like it's growing so fast, and I think with the Switch, I believe it's gonna be like indie heaven. I think the Switch is because it's portable, you can just take it anywhere and play all your indie games on it, and I just think it's like the perfect combination.
I don't know, man. As of right now, I don't know. I don't want to talk about the Switch, but it's kind of. I think it came out too soon. I think there's a lot of stuff that it doesn't have. I mean, I think Unreal is going to be really big for it because the Unreal 4 is like amazing with the Switch. But I think the other like the HTML programmers and stuff like that for like littler companies and stuff, are going to struggle to get stuff on it just because it's not, I guess it's not as opened as the Wii U was
Oh,
with
so
HTML. Yeah, I mean, because they don't even have Netflix on it yet. So I mean, Netflix can't get on the Switch. Then how do they, like however little indie studio is going to do it? You have to go through like one of their Unreal engines or something like that. And just say that I've been messing with Unreal just because I know that's the way to do it. But it's kind of like, because I mean, Unreal is free too. So I mean, and it's really easy. And it's like super powerful. So I mean, I guess that's not really the baddest move because I mean, their quality would be a lot better, but it's kind of, it stops a little bit of the HTML people, which is kind of a bummer just because Construct 2 is HTML. So
yeah.
Really weird.
So yeah, from a game developer, I guess, perspective, it's kind of harder, are you saying, to develop for the Nintendo Switch?
Yeah, for right now. Like,
okay.
I think, I don't know, I can't really say much about the developer program, but they're a lot easier than it was before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as soon as the years go by, maybe whenever the Switch gets Netflix, then it's going to be easy and it'll be great. So, yeah. And it's just a matter of time. I can't see them going the whole cycle without putting on any kind of HTML or web browser or something. Cause I mean, they don't have a web browser yet. I just think it's weird. So I still love Nintendo and like, I'll buy a Switch as soon as they get Netflix. Cause I still play my Wii U all the time because of the Netflix, but
yeah, hopefully, come on, Nintendo, you gotta put those features on it. People want it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now we have reached crunch time where I'll be asking you like a lot of questions in quick succession, and you can check out GameDevLoadout.com for all the show notes. So Joseph, are you ready to end this with a bang?
Yeah.
What was holding you back from becoming a game developer?
I didn't think I could do it. I thought it was a lot harder than, well, it is super hard, but I thought it was something that I just wasn't capable of doing.
Yes, it's not impossible. There's like so much things out there, so much tutorials and information. You just gotta go out there, look, and utilize it. That's the thing. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
It's the introduction of a book. I think it was from school, and it was like game development, like 101 or something. And I didn't read the book. I read the intro, and like the first thing was like, make games. Like there's no reason that you shouldn't be, by the end of the time you read this book or whatever, at least put together a prototype. And I think that was like I said, I didn't read the book because I started working on Cydex Saga, but that was like the biggest thing is like just make stuff and like always be constantly making stuff. And I think that was the biggest, I guess, inspiration I got.
That's funny. That first intro and bam, you just started making your game. Now, to me, that's awesome. What's a personal habit that contributes to your success?
This one's rough, and I don't take a lot of people to do it, but I don't sleep on a bed, like, because I'm actually behind on my current game. So, like, I took away my futon privilege, so I sleep on the floor until I catch up, and
Whoa.
it's kind of brutal, I guess, and but yeah, that's how I do it, because it's like, if you can honestly say that you put all the work forward that you could today, then yeah, sleep on your bed, but like a lot of the times it's just, I don't feel like I deserved it. Like I could have done so much more than what I've actually done. So it's like, I'm sleeping on the floor, and like, it's a brutal way to think about it, to think that like your bed's not right. Like you don't deserve that to sleep on that bed. You need to just sleep on the floor. And then tomorrow, maybe if you put in a whole day worth of work, or you actually think you deserve it, then sleep on the bed. But that's, like I said, it's kind of crazy, but it works. And it's like, it's motivation. It's like, dude, I want a good night's sleep. So I'm going to like bust my ass today so I can actually sleep on the futon. So that's my motivation.
So, the bed, you don't get tempted to go sleep on the bed if you're having like a really exhausted day? Like, how do you not get tempted to sleep on the bed?
Sleeping on the floor is not that bad, dude. Like,
okay.
I'm used to it by now, and it's kind of like, like days that I feel like I have to sleep on the bed or whatever, I don't do it. And it's like, dude, I didn't do anything with game dev because like sometimes I'd be tired because I work 40 hours at my other job, and sometimes I'd be just super tired and like I just waste time. And it's like, dude, I didn't do anything with my game today. So, like, what the hell? What am I going to sleep comfortably for? Just like, don't deserve it.
That is hardcore, Joseph.
Yeah.
All right. So, share an internet resource like Evernote or just an online resource in general that people could use.
Dude, Construct 2 is amazing. It's by Sarah. They just released Construct 3, which is like you can develop on the go kind of thing. Construct 2 is better, but I'm just saying, and it's visual programming. So yeah, there's variables and stuff, and you can get super deep with it. but it's like a drag and drop kind of thing. But it ports to everything. Well, it ports to a lot of stuff. They did an Xbox One. There's Wii U. There's HTML. There's the Steam files. There's exe files. There's Windows stores. There's a mobile app. Well, the Construct 3 has a mobile app now where you can plug directly. You don't have to go through Cocoon or like a side project. And it's like, dude, you could learn this if you can draw and then like you can just focus your time. You can learn it together. Like, and it's great. And you can make games. And like I do it for rapid prototyping. Like over Palooza, I made the dude's game that he'd been talking about for years. And it was like I made it in like a couple of hours. And it's Construct 2 is amazing. People use Game Maker a lot. Game Maker, same thing. You can make stuff with it. And YouTube videos are out there. Like you shouldn't. Everybody's like, oh, you had to pay to go to school or something like that. Like, dude, just watch videos. Like a lot of time in my school, they tell you what to do. And then I go home and like watch the videos and master it, or like not master it, but like do a bunch of it. And I guess those are my go-to. And then outside, you got to go outside. Like I get a lot of inspiration when I'm not staring at a computer. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing now, because they think they can just look at the internet and find everything. And it's like, dude, you got to actually live life a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
you got to enjoy life. What book would you recommend and why?
I read the manuals, like what is it, RTFM. I never knew that until I made video games or whatever, or to actually ask forums. So those are the most recent books I've read. I've read all of Construct 2's manual. I've read all of Unreal's, like their help pages or whatnot, and like that. Those are your best books. Like you have all the information right there in the program. Just click help, and like they have all the documentations, all the shortcuts, everything that program can do is in there. So I mean, if you're gonna read something, which you should read, kids, everybody reads, but read the manual. It's RTFM. So
what's funny is that I think people tend to skip the manual. Actually, they don't read the manual all the way through, and I think that's a big that's not a good sign, or that's not a good start. It's important to read the manual, because the manual is what details everything and how to do everything. And
it tells you exactly what to do.
Yeah, and I think people actually skip it sometime, and I think that's a big mistake.
Yeah, because videos, they can take you so far, but then you got to link that together with other videos. And it's like, if you struggle somewhere, it's like, dude, just look in the help button. Like all the programs have help menus, and they all have manuals that you can look in, and then Control F, search what key you're looking for, and it'll go to the whole documentation on it. So, I mean, I think those are the big books those are the most recent books that I've read, and comic books, but
yeah, manual books, they're definitely helpful. So this next question is a bit of a doozy, so go ahead and take your time if you need to think it for a bit. But imagine you woke up the next morning in a brand new world and you knew no one. You still have all the experience and knowledge you currently have today. What would you do in the next 7 days on the path to become a great game developer?
Do I get like a computer and stuff, or do I have anything? Yeah. So I still have all of my stuff now?
Yes. It basically, you're starting from scratch, but you still have your experience and knowledge.
But I have my programs and stuff like that?
Yes, yeah.
I do a rapid prototype for those first 2 days, and then see if that was fun. If that one wasn't worth it, do another prototype. Do like a game jam kind of thing. I guess I'd have to find some stability for food and stuff like that too.
Tell people what game jam is in case they don't know.
Oh, game jams are amazing. So game jams, you have 24 to 48 hours, usually it's 48 hours, to create a game from scratch. And that means like no coding, nothing, assets or anything like that. You have to make everything right then and there. And like, it's the greatest because it's the time period, you're under stress, and it's like you get a finished product at the end of it. And like, it's a good thing to network. I usually do it by myself though, but it's a good way to network with other people and see what people are creating. And like I said, you get a game out of it. Like if everybody finishes, like you have something to show somebody like, hey, I completed this. And yeah, it only took me 48 hours, but it's an actual game. So, I mean, you can't make like the big game or whatever like that, but you can rapid prototype. If you can't make something fun and exciting gameplay within 2 days, you're doing something wrong, Like of course you can't make a whole game, but you should at least be able to get the base of what you want to go on in the game and like the funness of it. And then you build a game around that. So I go to game jams. There's Global Game Jam. That's every January. And that's cool because that's like the whole world does it at one time. And they give you a topic. Ludum Dare is every 4 months, I want to say. Ludum Dare. And then a bunch of people do. I think Game Jolt? They do game jams, and just look up game jams. They're all over the place. They're really fun.
Well, yeah, I heard of it, but I actually never joined one, and now I do. All right, yeah, now we're at the end. Go ahead and give a parting piece of guidance and how we, Game Nation, can connect with you in the future.
So right now, we're working on Ducktastrophe. It's actually the first game that we're going to have a couple of people working on, so it's going to be crazy. We got a writer for this one. It's going to be based on, it is a duck who loses his family, and he goes out to the pond and realizes that there's mutants all around him, and there's a bigger world than what he thought there was. It's a turn-based battle system, but with like a timing mechanic, kind of like Super Mario RPG, where you have to time attacks correctly to get the extra damage or to deal more damage to them. It's coming out December this year, so look for it on the Wii U, Xbox One, and maybe Steam. On my website, it's gnobsoft.com, gnobsoft.com. If you really want to contact me, there's a contact page on the bottom. Those have all my prototypes and stuff that's coming and what we're working on and demos for their future games. So, I mean, that would be your best way if you wanted to contact me. I'm also on Twitter and all that stuff, but that's actually one of the ladies I'm working with. So I still get the messages though. But yeah, my website.
And what's a parting piece of guidance?
To like make games, dude. Like there's a weekend, or I don't know when pick a weekend and just make a game over it and just finish it.
Yeah.
Done.
Schedule. Make it. Just do it. Yeah, Joseph, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your time, and we appreciate it, and we look forward to your work. So, Game Nation, go check him out. Contact him for a chat. And until then, Joseph, we'll catch you next time.
All right, later.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Game Nation, for listening, and I hope you are feeling inspired. Equip yourself with the best loadout and take action. Go check out GameDevLoadout.com for all the show notes, links, and past guests. That is GameDevLoadout.com. You can also subscribe to my email list and contact me for feedback. I would love to hear what you have to say. Until then, stay tuned for the next episode. T-Chan out.